What is poppin'? It is the Slapped, and I am but a lowly Slapped and riding these ReFi waves. And this is This Week in ReFi, where we give you all of the ReFi news that is fit to go ape wild over. Of course, with me is the man with the plan, the man with the tan, the Estonian madman, the man of with the power, the man of the hour, the man who's so sweet he's never sour, the leader of the Regenerative Finance Vanguard, the rug explainor, Restradamus Sir Rez.
Hello, it's Rez.
This will be our final episode of the year, Rez. I'm very excited to
Yes.
to do a little bit of a recap.
Yes, this week in ReFi has definitely been spotty at least, spotty at best, but we're getting another weekend before the end of the year, and I am so excited for doing this episode. And then I personally have a vacation, so the next couple of weeks I will be on vacation, which means I will attempt to work less. That's I think how that thing is defined, right?
Every American who hears that is just punching holes in their wall, knowing that they're going to be working probably up until Christmas, and then maybe get a few days off, and then, hey man, if you can do it, do it.
Yeah.
All right. It's the end of the year, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And what that means is this: it could be a time for new beginnings. You can make a resolution. Maybe your resolution is that you want to get a ReFi job. If you want to get a ReFi job, ReFiJobs.com, curated jobs, do well and good at the same time. If you haven't signed up, if you aren't looking for ReFi jobs there, I'm not your friend. Okay, that's it.
Just unfollowed, unfriended, blocked, like the whole shebang. Like if you don't work in ReFi, why are you even talking with Slapton? I mean, really?
I'm gonna block you. I'm gonna unblock you, and then I'm gonna block you again. It's called a double block.
If he gets like a phone call from an unknown number, his first question is, "Do you work in ReFi?" Then the answer is, "What's ReFi?" He hangs up. That's it.
That is what I do. That is what I do. All right. We got this tweet. We got this beautiful tweet up on the screen, Rez. The beautiful tweet is from SCB. SCB is a carbon trading house. Everybody knows SCB. They're distributing 100,000 clean cook stoves to Rohingya, I hope I said that right, refugees, and the wider community. That's in Myanmar, if memory serves correctly. Over 1 million Rohingya live in refugee camps in Cox's Bazar since fleeing persecution. Yeah, in Myanmar in 2017. So there you go.
Yeah,
Confirms
exactly.
it. What's a cook stove? What's a cook stove, Rez?
All right. So, refresher on cook stoves. A lot of the time in developing countries, there is this practice of cooking over an open fire, often multiple fires next to each other, and then this is a lot of work because it requires a bunch of wood. It isn't necessarily the healthiest in terms of the fumes you're breathing in. It is actually a surprisingly huge amount, huge source of carbon emissions globally. And good news, there's a solution to this. This is called an improved cook stove, which is essentially a thing you put on top of the fire, and then it concentrates the heat a lot better, and then you don't need as much wood. You need a lot less wood. And it's very good because the carbon emissions, you get to avoid carbon emissions. People get to breathe in less dangerous fumes. It's generally considered to be safer. It has a lot of benefits because it's often it's often the women in family units that do all of the cooking and gathering wood and all of this stuff. It cuts down on that time. It means that you get to purify water at home more efficiently. There's a bunch of benefits to it, and this is generally why corporates like buying it a lot. And the downside is essentially that ultimately this is a sort of emission avoidance project, but it is considered to be among emission avoidance projects generally the best kind of project you can get.
Good. So I think we were talking about from a humanitarian perspective, this is wonderful for all the reasons that you just mentioned. I think it's hard for people in places like America to understand the reality of living in a place like Myanmar And like if I want food, I go to Taco Bell. Do you have Taco Bell in Estonia, by the way?
We do not.
You don't.
Zero Taco Bells. We have a KFC. We Subway just shut down all of their stores, I think, in Estonia. It just wasn't worth the business.
Yeah, well, you guys are smart, so good thing you don't have Taco Bell. But we go to Taco Bell, and we get ourselves things that make us feel really bad, the next day. But it's very convenient, and you don't have to cook anything. But if you're in Myanmar, if you're a refugee, right, like you gotta, get together combustibles, and if you've ever hiked or camped for a long amount for like many days, you know that it's very time consuming, and yeah, so this is a good thing from that perspective, and for health reasons, it's very good. It eliminates the amount of smoke that people inhale because a lot of people are cooking indoors. But from a carbon accounting perspective, I'm going to play the role of a cynic because that's the role I play. And I would say that from what I know, and you know more than I, that it can be tricky to do carbon accounting on these because it assumes that everyone's using them. And I've heard cases where people just aren't using them, or they sell them, or they don't like them.
This is actually like something that was more of a problem before. It's getting better over time. Generally, this takes the form of having to actually write down when you're using it. It is open to this kind of small micro fraud, but on the other end, like the people don't get necessarily anything for, as far as I understand, don't necessarily get anything for writing additional rows for times they like kind of used it. But there is a sort of monitoring and record keeping about how much each cook stove is used, and that kind of data does get fed into the estimates. But how accurate those estimates are, it has a lot of uncertainty built into it. The uncertainty in some sense is already built into the estimate itself. So if you issue credits conservatively, you can get like pretty okay carbon accounting. Ultimately, still emission avoidance, just really good emission avoidance from the like side benefits.
Right. So that's a good point because these projects, this isn't the first project of its kind, right? So you can account for probabilistically how many people will actually use them to what degree, and that's a good point.
Yeah, and there's ongoing monitoring for these kind of projects. So they don't just hand them out and then assume everything worked. So that's also part of it.
And we would be remiss if we didn't mention that this was being done with under the auspice or with the help of Klima, right?
Yes, this project was initiated by funding from the Klima DAO treasury.
Yes.
This is, I think, what makes this especially noteworthy in from like a This Week in ReFi perspective, because this was ReFi money going into the real world and doing real world stuff, it's an investment.
My favorite thing to see is the ReFi funding going into the real world and doing real world things. We need more of it. Hopefully, we see more of that in 2023. So
very excited for it.
Anything else you want to say about this cook stove story?
Oh, I just love it. I mean, what's there not to love? It's a story about actually helping people, helping the climate, and it was financed from a DAO treasury. What's there not to love? It's very cool. Good job, Klima.
There you go. A happy res. A happy res is a happy life.
Indeed.
Res was also happy about this story. This was introducing Allied Offset's buyer ratings. This came from Antonina Kraus. Antonina Kraus, if ever you want to discuss this on our podcast, we're happy to have you. I'm just saying that on my behalf, and maybe Rez's. But Antonina Kraus writes some good stuff, and she wrote, here I'll scroll down to this table, a grade for offsets. The fraction of, I believe it was the entities sampled that fit into that category, and then an explanation of that grade. Fill in the dots, fill in the blanks, Rez. What is she trying to say? Why is this important?
Yes. This has been one of the things in kind of like a list of things to do if I ever get bored, which was a data analysis about the organizations actually publicly offsetting in order to go like, hey, What's the quality of your offsets? How much are you actually using compared to the data we have about your emissions? Are you buying just 10% of your annual footprint in carbon offsets? Like that isn't necessarily very cool. Are the offsets that you're buying surprisingly not that good? Like, are you optimizing for getting the cheapest possible price you can for carbon offsets? Stuff like this. So are you trying to squeak just under the bar, or are you trying to go over and beyond? And making that kind of information really accessible. So far, nobody has done it. I'm pretty sure this is the first time we have like a publicly available data set that they're now working on, which is going, hey, these are all the organizations we definitely know are offsetting. These are the organizations we have data about, and we will assign them letter ratings based on how much they're offsetting and what is the quality of the credits that they're using to do it. I love it. It's so good. Shame is underrated as a driver for making things better. Shame is highly underrated. I think the only downside that could emerge from this is these organizations being shamed more than the organizations that are doing nothing at all. And I think that's always a risk with these kind of initiatives of, making organizations more accountable, since the organizations that end up being more accountable as a result aren't the ones that are doing nothing, and that's kind of shitty. I don't like that. So non-offsetting organizations that are absolutely doing nothing should just get an F rating on their scale actively, and it should just be there. I would be super happy if they did that. That's the missing piece in my head. Please, Allied Offsets, please do it. do it, please.
And I want to add one more thing based on what you just said. You just mentioned people squeaking under the bar. The only thing I would offer is, instead of giving a rating of, let's say, like B, you call those people bar squeakers.
Oh no! I think it have retired. I think a C plus it would be a bar squeaker in their systems. But
So,
yeah.
so we should have every one of these groups in terms of where you are with the bar, right? So,
Yeah.
bar jumper, bar underer, and bar squeaker. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Bar squeaker.
yeah,
Yes.
bar squeaker. That's the only thing I'll add to this. And I believe there's going to be a release, a little bit more data to specifically mention who was sampled, I believe. We'll ask.
Oh no! There's already a table out. Actually,
Oh.
that's the cool part.
Yeah, we've got a corporate buyer summary. We'll leave a link to this in the video. Let's take a look at this. I think this is fascinating, actually. So you can, it's in beta. The interface is better than what I've done, but I think it leaves a little bit to be desired. If we're looking at A plus, Audi, Deutsche Bank, J.P. Morgan Chase, Microsoft, Volkswagen. Any surprises there, Rez? I'm surprised by all of those names, to be perfectly honest with you.
Maybe, yeah, kind of a bit, but it's actually good to see that these organizations deserve the attention of being A plus offsetters compared to everybody else. So good job, SAP. Good job, Microsoft.
And it shows their retired credits, their average price per credit. All right, so if we take a look at Microsoft, this is going to be some good old-fashioned nerd fun. We see that they have retired approximately 129,377 credits. Why does that number feel low to me?
That's because this isn't the full picture. I think that's the issue when you pull data from just a couple of carbon registries automatically. I'm assuming they gave this rating actually based on the fact that in the background they are funding a bunch of direct air capture projects. Microsoft has one of the biggest carbon offsetting budgets of all time. There's very few organizations that have as significant of a budget for doing it. And if you go into the specifics, you can see that they've essentially retired 2 batches of something in the past year, and they've actually in the background done a lot more. Just it happens to be that, especially when we're talking about direct air capture and these really high quality technological removal projects, they don't even necessarily use a registry. So they do self-issuance a lot of the time.
Okay.
Because the amounts are relatively small and they are just in so high demand that having a registry doesn't really value add for them.
Got it. Yeah, very cool. And so their average price per credit is $10.66. Their average price per credit for the last 2 years is $11.80. That seems competitive. What do you think of that? About 10.50, 11, between 10.50 and $12 approximately per credit.
Yeah. I mean, the thing that I'd like to mention here in general is just the fact that I while I really like the attempt, I get the impression that a lot of their data is
Is
a
wrong.
bit
Yeah.
spotty.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a super good idea though, and I'm
Yeah. Good
looking
start.
forward to this thing coming out of beta.
Because yeah, you were saying direct air capture, and that's, I mean, very expensive stuff, right? What is it, like $80
Yeah.
a credit or something like
No,
that?
no,
Even
it's
more?
like, dude, it's $500 per
$500
credit.
credit.
It's
Yeah.
it's very expensive.
Sorry. Yeah.
Uh,
It's
yeah.
another thing is like it is so unusual in my experience because I'm not as deep as you
Mhm.
are. Like I don't even know very many projects that are doing it. Like it's
Mm.
not something I encounter very much. But $500 a credit, yeah, it's crazy, man.
Mhm.
So this is probably low. And then
Oh
their
yeah, it's very low.
average vintage year 2014. This is cool. Yeah, this is what we need.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
one to shame people, but also to congratulate people. And I think my New Year's resolution is to be as positive and complimentary as I am critical and cynical, right? We need both sides of the spectrum.
Balance.
We need
Yes.
balance. We need to say good.
Your New Year's theme is the year of
The
balance. I
year of
love that.
balance. I like that. So let's all tag on Twitter, Microsoft and Volkswagen, and say good job. You've done a
Good
good
job.
job. And then let's pick some.
Do some offsets.
Let's find some
We
company
love
that's not doing well and say bad job.
it. Balance the good with the bad.
Bad job.
Uh,
No, this is awesome.
bad
Yeah.
job.
I hope that this gets iterated upon and updated and
Oh
yeah.
yeah, I think there's a lot left to be desired when it comes to user experience and just
Yeah.
being able to navigate it. But the concept and somebody actually even like trying to do this, I really applaud that. There should be more of this. There should be a bigger effort to try and also make the offsetters accountable and not just the carbon projects. Ultimately, there's two parts of the market.
Right.
So we also should care about what kind of credits are getting used and if like that organization is doing anything. And I again like emphasize this fact that doing even something is still better than doing absolutely nothing. And you know anytime you see some organization doing like kind of sketchy offsetting, uh there's like a couple of organizations you should also call out with the same breath that are doing nothing, please.
Yeah, good point. Excellent point. All right. So, and here's the other thing. If you want some balance, you want to tell people they're doing a good job. Well, we've got just the thing for you. Quokka community upvotes. So there's a bunch of refi projects, and you can vote for your favorite. Now, hey, this isn't a naked shill. We aren't associated with this, but I will say that if you scroll down far enough, right here at 22 votes is a picture of Rez, weak in refi. They got rid of the definite
I
article.
don't.
They got rid of
How
the
did that happen?
well, they got rid of the definite article this
Mm,
because we transcend that. We are just the week in
mhm.
refi. We're not this
The
week in
week in
refi,
refi.
right? There are
Yeah.
other
We're
this week
all
in
weeks in
refis.
refi.
Right.
Yeah.
But we are the week in refi. We'll leave a link to that.
Mhm.
Smash. This is the first and only time I'll ever say this. Smash the upvote button. Smash it.
And subscribe and like and leave a comment and engagement farm, please do all of that thing.
Yeah. Unsubscribe from us
Resubscribe
and then
immediately.
resubscribe.
All of your interactions count. It's great.
Rez, I'm feeling a lot of gratitude at the end of the year. Speaking of gratitude, let's talk about a story full of gratitude. Of course, refi gratitude and the refi gratitude collection. We talked about the the flowers.
The flow creators.
Yes, and we showed
Yellow things.
the fuzzy yellow man, or the man having sex with the fuzzy earth, and it's still a
Yeah.
great NFT, but certainly not the only NFTs. What are your thoughts on this refi gratitude collection?
Yes. So there's a end of the year collection where you can come in and spend some Matic, and it'll half of it I think will get used to do some carbon offsetting, and half of it will be donated to the Black Artist Foundation. And here's the additional cool thing about this NFT mint: you get one extra to give to a friend for gratitude reasons.
I like that.
And yeah, I mean the art is it's okay.
I like
I'm
it.
sorry. Yeah, it's I also like it. I think I'm maybe a bit disappointed that there's like, you know, one of a thousand
Yeah.
collection. Yeah. Uh I'm a big fan of one of one.
No, I think I am too. Yeah, so I was thinking about that too. I like it. I'm gonna get one and I'm gonna give a copy to a buddy. So not, but I do think
Same.
that the point of an NFT is the unique ownership of an NFT, right? So if
Mm.
you've got 1,000 copies, I don't know, man. But then you have to generate, like, let's say you have 1,000 copies, and then you have to generate 1,000 unique art things. But AI can do that, right?
Yes, AI can definitely do that. I'm not necessarily sure if that's what happened here. I would be quite interested in who are the artists here.
No, I think they're
Is
cool.
that ever much?
I
Yeah.
think that the art is actually really cool. Cool. Did you pick one up yet?
Uh, Going to pick one up right after this, actually.
Black hole blessings, cosmos within, celestial thanks, stellar bliss. Which one are we going with? Cosmic chaos.
Mm. I'm stuck between Stellar Bliss and Celestial Thanks.
Okay, let me see. Stellar bliss and celestial thanks. I'm a stellar bliss guy personally.
Mm.
I like that. Almost
Yeah,
looks,
I like the paisley pattern on it. It's pretty
it
dope.
kind of looks like a peacock's tail, and I'm a big fan of peafowl. Do you know what that is?
Of what? No.
Peafowl. It's a bird native to India. They have
Mm.
very colorful, or I believe Southeast Asia, very colorful plumage, and they're kept in zoos in America. People go ooh, and the males they'll spread the plumage. I believe it's the males to attract mates.
I've never heard it being called peafowls. I've only heard the term peacock in
Peacock. That's
English.
the male. That's the male. The male.
Got
And then the
it.
peafowl. There you go.
Now that you say it, it sounds very obvious. Never crossed my mind.
Got it. All right. Cool. That was it for ReFi news. It's a slow week. It's the end of the year. No one's doing anything. Everyone in Estonia is already on vacation. So we're going to take the rest of the time to discuss our favorite stories. Favorite's a tough word.
Mhm.
Maybe the most spectacular rugs that happened this year, because we do discuss quite a bit of that.
Yeah.
I know you want to start, Rez. What's your favorite rug of the year?
I have a couple.
Yeah.
Mm, but I think the ultimate slow rug is still the international monetary system.
Go on.
It's like when we print in normal crypto land, if you 2x the number of tokens, that doesn't necessarily do good things with price. The Fed 2x the number of USD in a year in the US, and well, not much happened for a while, and now reality is kind of catching up to that decision, and that's fun. And you know, it's not just the U.S. Fed that did it; it's the European Central Bank. We've been having negative interest rates with the European Central Bank buying government debt at negative interest rates. It's been very exciting of a time to be alive when it comes to monetary policy, and since all fiat money is functionally like a slow rug Ponzi game. We all just get rugged very slowly, and this is, I think, the year of the monetary rug. Definitely, we've been having a very annoying time with just getting rugged by money.
I think that's well said. Yeah, I think it's interesting that we're talking about, like, in America, the markets kind of crashed out this week after Jerome Powell and the Fed did their FOMC and said that we're raising rates another 50 basis points, right? And everyone thinks kind of like that's they believe that's the origin. But if you trace it back far enough, you're absolutely right. It's like, well, why were we even in the inflationary period that we're in? It was just in my humble opinion, profligate and reckless printing of money 2 years ago, and it takes a while for the beast to rear its ugly head, but here it is, right?
Yep.
So then you're left with a choice. Do you let inflation go rampant and eat into everybody's savings? And that tends to affect the dispossessed and the elderly and people who don't have earning potential anymore because they're living off of pre-inflationary dollars. Or do you put a stick in the spokes of the economic machine, slow everything down? And my favorite is the soft landing, right? So there doesn't seem to be a way to actually slow an economy down without an abrupt halt, because if this is kind of like what seems to be historical record is if you do it gradually and gently, the economy just ends up compensating, right? So if rates go up incrementally at a prescribed schedule that's not too severe, then workers just ask for slightly more money, and basically the economy can keep pace with what's prescribed. You need to kind of have this jarring effect.
The average person has to feel terrible when you have inflation go down. That's essentially the system we're in, and it's not great. Honestly, it's. I think this is a fantastic demonstration of how tokenomics can have different stakeholders, and then they can have different interests, and sometimes you need to balance those interests, but it doesn't feel good being on the wrong side of that balance. I think, it feels insane when you hear like Fed chair say something to the tune of no, not enough people are losing jobs.
Right.
We need to make more people lose jobs. There's too many good jobs right now. We can't have this.
Yeah.
Like, the money doesn't support that. I'm sorry. Like, the system fundamentally can't support this level of good job market right now. And that's an issue. And that sounds like completely crazy if you take it out of the context of, we can have a good job market now, but then, runaway inflation and basically full economic collapse. It's this annoying trade-off of bad things right now for sustainable, maybe good things in the future, versus very good things for a very brief period of time and then nothing. So those are the kind of existential trade-offs we're consistently making. And I feel like about 2 years ago, the trade-off was not good, but, I'm also not a Fed chair, so I guess maybe I don't have all the context.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But the only thing I'll push back on is I'm not so, like, in America we have a term called Monday morning quarterback, because people play football on Sundays, and on Monday everybody says what the quarterback should have done the day before. So I don't believe a lot of this was hindsight. People were saying it when it was happening, like, this is reckless spending, reckless printing of money, and sure enough, the Fed told us, don't worry about it. What was it? Transitory. Inflation is transitory.
Oh yeah, it's transitory. Even though we 2x monetary supply, it's gonna go away. That's fine.
So there were plenty of people who said this is not transitory at the time, and they were absolutely right. And it makes you wonder, is the Fed that incompetent, or are they that dishonest? And try not to be cynical in 2023. However, I don't know. If I know more than the Fed chair. Yeah.
Well, Slapton, this is the year of balance for you. Yes. So I think some cynicism is still warranted.
Okay,
and
fair enough.
I think, especially from the Fed's perspective, a lot of how the markets behave is based on what they say and how it's interpreted. Because, like, if they say the wrong words in the wrong order, the market goes to shit, even though they did nothing on a policy level. So they almost have to do some level of misrepresenting reality for reality to behave that way, which is, like, really weirdly cyclical. And it's the same thing as if you're like a major financial institution, you're never allowed to say you're in trouble. You're either like completely underwater, or everything is fine. Like, those are the only two options. You don't have anything in the middle, because the moment you say it, like, it'll materialize into nothing being fine anymore.
Yeah, we talked about this. Yeah, 100%. They can't say we're in trouble, because then that's a self-fulfilling prophecy. So, we were going to maybe talk about Binance, but now I am going to talk about Binance, because I think that's actually what's happening with them, right? Like, the reason we didn't want to bring up the Binance story is because it's actually very speculative, and we don't actually know what's happening with Binance. But it doesn't matter, because even at the first sign of trouble, even if it was speculative, what were the withdrawals? Billions of dollars of withdrawals, right? Off of, I forgot the exact number, but like within days. So even if they were, let's say, relatively conservative with keeping their deposits, if they had 70%, let's say, of their deposits, which is very conservative, much more than TradFi banks are keeping, if 80% of the deposits go to withdraw based on some FUD or speculation, they're going to become insolvent, even though they're not at risk otherwise. And so then I was thinking about
it's really bad game theory, because I think we've discussed this before, but you never want to be the last person to withdraw. That's terrible. So like ultimately just having self-custody of your assets, very relevant in crypto. There's no financial inspection, there's no like insurance of deposits, there's nothing.
Right.
So you are liable for figuring out your own monetary security. And part of that just really has to be self-custody. Just don't use exchanges without the expectation that you might lose everything
Yeah,
on it.
no, that's 100% right. So, and then I was thinking about this like the other day. I was like, well, I keep saying we're speed running TradFi and crypto, and I think this is actually just another example of it. So there was a panic. I forgot the year in the 1900s, early 1900s in America, based on a rumor that wasn't true, and it was an investor who was a speculator in precious metals, I believe copper, and he happened to own a bunch of banks on the East Coast, and copper dipped that year. And on the speculation that the banks were insolvent, they weren't, by the way. Everybody went to withdraw, and then
People on the street saw them lining up at the bank, so
Yeah.
then they were like, maybe I should also take all my money out.
Right. And then the Fed was created shortly thereafter, and then the FDIC, which is federal insurance on deposits, became a thing. And I'm almost thinking we're like reaching that point already in crypto, right? Like we thought we were going to have this divergent path, and here we are kind of doing the same thing all over again. So yeah, good. International monetary policy was your rug. I'm going to pick low-hanging fruit. I'm going to say FTX. I'm going to say Sam Bankman-Fried. By the way, we can make mention of this. We can talk about this. Finally arrested. Thank goodness.
Yes.
How long do you think it would take the authorities to arrest you and I if we were found guilty of stealing $100 from a store? Do you think they'd wait a month?
Like under a day, probably.
Right. So
probably under a day, right? Yeah.
we should create a graph. On the x-axis is the amount of money that you've stolen, and on the y-axis is time until you're arrested. And as the amount of money increases, the time it takes for them to arrest you increases for some reason.
Yeah. There was a speculation that he's so far into the curve that he can no longer be arrested because this time curve is like, oh, you've reached infinity, like $1 billion.
It's a domain restriction, right?
It's like, oops, I did an $8 billion oopsie. Oh, oof, $50 billion. No, can't find it. Sorry.
but I think obviously the rug of the year in crypto, maybe the rug of all time in crypto.
I think no, this is not rug of all time in crypto. This is rug of all time. Just flat out stop.
Flat out.
There hasn't been a worse Ponzi scheme than this. I don't think in history there hasn't been like this extent of wealth destruction, fraudulent wealth destruction as we saw here. I legitimately don't think we've had anything even close to this. I mean, Bernie Madoff's creditors got back 80 cents on the dollar or something.
Yeah.
Or something like that, right? As Sam Bankman-Fried has already said, international clients are getting back maybe 20 cents on the dollar. That's what he said.
And it'll be closer to 10, right? Like that's what he's saying, and it'll be like 5%. You're right. Yeah. Yeah, it's completely insane in the scope of it. So I think it massively set back crypto. Probably we're going to see the ramifications of it in 2023. Like it takes 2 years for the reckless printing to come to a head. It's going to probably take a little time for this to come to a head.
Because of the aforementioned financial institutions LARPing, but they're fine. It comes with the territory. We're gonna do it until they can't. Like that's kind of the vibe.
There you go. So that brings us to our last thing that we're going to talk about is predictions for 2023, and not financial advice. None of us know what we're talking about. If we did, we wouldn't be doing this podcast. We would be much wealthier. Well, you might still be doing this podcast. And we could. Just,
I would.
Yeah, I probably would too. I need something to do. So any predictions for crypto, for ReFi, for TradFi? What do you think 2023 is going to hold personally, professionally, economically?
Okay, so there's going to be a couple of things. I think it will be the year of the regulated exchange. I think we're finally going to see like maybe some reasonable regulation come down in some countries. I'm not necessarily sure it will be the US, but I think we'll see more regulation on, hey, you're a centralized exchange. We should treat you like an exchange. You should have requirements for how exchanges work. I think it'll be the year of the decentralized exchange making more sense to people, because if you are, uh, you know, a lot of people think essentially that the only way you get crypto on chain is you go through an exchange. No, there's also on chain ramps. You put in your credit card, essentially, you get crypto on chain. Like there's no exchange in the middle. In that sense of you don't. There's nobody custodying your funds at some point. You just pay, you get the crypto, you're on chain now. And I think that's a more preferable option generally for most people, for most use cases. The only downside is user experience. And I think we'll hopefully see user experience getting better, wallets getting a bit nicer, maybe MetaMask finally catching up to its competition, who's honestly at this point doing things a lot better. I think MetaMask just needs updates. What else? In ReFi, I think we're finally going to see a bunch of these projects that were created in the wake of Toucan Klima DAO's launch. I think we're going to finally see those projects start shipping and being live and
Flow
doing
Carbon,
things.
right? Flow Carbon, Jasmine Energy,
Solid World.
Solid World. Well, I wanted you to say it. Solid World.
I did.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think you're right. I think, and why do you think that this, like, it is my belief that you'll probably see it for two reasons. One will be just the amount of time it takes to spin these things up, and then two, I think a lot of projects are waiting for some clarity from the powers that be. Do you think we get clarity from the powers that be, namely Vera, in 2023?
I do think we will get clarity from the powers that be. I don't necessarily think it will be what people want to hear in some situations. I think it'll be a lot more restrictive than, is the like DeFi average. But that'll end up being like a engineering constraint. And my belief is that it'll be possible, and it won't block everything. It'll just make it a bit like. It'll add a few hoops you need to jump through to get everything.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I think it's coming, and I happen to agree entirely. I think it's going to be, I'll use harsher words, much more restrictive than people in the DeFi space want it to be. You'll probably see.
But the DeFi space restrictive levels is literally zero, so
extreme.
Anything is much more restrictive. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think there's going to be outcries of, we can't work with these people, blah, blah, blah. But I think ultimately, to your point, what you're going to see is very creative workarounds. That's what the space, and from what I've seen, does, right? They innovate. They come up with ways to achieve what they want to achieve. Can we figure out a way to incorporate KYC into like a wrapping of a token or something like that, right? Like, who knows? Like, there's really smart people in the space, and that's what I think you'll see in ReFi in 2023. In terms of the exchanges, I think it's inevitable at this point that we're going to get an exchange that understands the importance of being fully regulated. Take somebody like me. I don't have any money on exchanges right now and will not use them until I know that they are regulated, right? So how many other people feel that way? So it's just going to be like basically the first exchange to market that provides good user experience and reasonable regulations and security for the user. Everyone's going to go to it. Everybody who uses centralized exchanges will use it. So now there's an incentive. What about?
Yeah, I think after retail has been hurt this much, they maybe have memory. This is the thing that I keep being upset by, the fact that retail doesn't seem to remember anything that has happened. Because like as a collective, I think retail sees a lot of churn. And because of that, the people that are the loudest aren't necessarily the most, informed ever. And that's kind of worrying. And I just hope this is the time we're collectively going to learn that maybe we should ask more questions and not just go like, oh, hey, this place is promising me 50% APR on Ethereum. I should definitely deposit Ethereum there. That sounds very safe.
All right, here's a promise. If you Twitter, public inbox me, or write something on a comment of one of our videos, hey, this company is giving, or this protocol is giving X APY to stake, I assure you, I will tell you, not financial advice, don't do it. I promise. That's my 2023 resolution to everybody. To talk everybody out of juicy APYs that are clearly unsustainable.
Yes.
Let's not do that.
But But 50% APR on Ethereum. Think about it. You'll own all of the Ethereum
All of it,
on the planet in 10 years. It'll be great.
It'll be easy.
Easy.
Now, what about personally, Rez? Last thing, and then we'll get going. Personally, what do you want 2023 to behold?
Oh wow. That's a very, very intense question. What do I want it to behold? I want it to behold the I want us to get to a point where the average person cares more. That would be nice. I mean, we're continuing to head into a climate catastrophe. I think everybody, well, no, not everybody, but a lot of people accept this as, this is where it's going. But on the other hand, there's what are you doing about it? And it's like, I am feeling anxiety and doing nothing. And that's maybe not the best response you should have to an existential crisis. I mean, really, that's the vibe. So I'm hoping it'll be a year of participation and people getting more involved and caring a bit more and, making the sacrifices that are needed to get us to a place where we're, around in a couple 100 years. That would be nice. I'd like that.
Along those lines, I hope we're doing this a year from now, because we've been doing this for a long time now. And we've maintained our momentum as best we can, even with busy lives and busy schedules. So even if we are spotty, I hope we're sitting here a little bit more successful, wise, maybe conscientious, a year from now, having a similar conversation about how everything rugged and we need to learn.
100%, dude. And maybe, yeah, no, actually, I don't have anything to add. I would definitely like us to keep doing this forever. This is my perspective right now. I just like being around. I like the guests that we have. I like the topics that we talk about.
We're gonna have guests. That's the other thing. Like that's the New Year's resolution is to have especially when it's a little slow. I want to get some guests lined up because that'll be a good time to meet these founders. Antonina Cross. We'll see you in 2023.
Yes. Definitely we want more people on to talk about stuff that they care about and the week that is.
The week that is. All right, everybody. Catch you. I hope everyone has a good holiday. Merry Christmas if you celebrate Christmas. Obviously, there's a lot of Christians in the world, so good on you if you're celebrating. And if you're not, hey, hope you're having a good time anyway. Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, whatever you celebrate. Happy New Year. We'll see you in 2023. Peace, dudes. Oh, remember to ape responsibly. Peace, dudes and dudettes.